Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. This review is for the movie called Danger Close. This is a 2019 film. It is rated R. It runs right at about 2 hours, and it stars a bunch of people. It's a huge cast, it's a huge movie, but three of them are Travis Fimmel, Toby Blom, and Alexander England, if you happen to know who any of them are. But it's a huge movie. The description of this is in August 1966, in a Vietnamese rubber plantation called Long Tan, 108 young and inexperienced Australian and New Zealand soldiers are fighting for their lives against 2,500 North Vietnamese and Viet Cong soldiers. This is Danger Close. Thank you for watching this video, everyone. This is a different movie that got referenced because I watched another movie and I do research to try and find like movies. And it's very interesting. It seems like there have been a couple of versions of this in the past if you go on IMDb or Google or whatever. So it looks like they were thinking about calling this something else about on the lines of Long Tan. But I think Danger Close is a great name for it. I wish they just would, kind of scrub all those other movies. I think this one's really good, so they can just stop making versions of them. But so yeah, this if you haven't heard of this is a war movie. One of the more entertaining ones that we're gonna see for a while. Certain war movies are good for their own purposes. This one is just by sheer numbers. The Vietnamese just keep coming in hordes. It's almost like a zombie apocalypse kind of. They just keep coming and coming in droves. So I think that's going to be the most impressive thing about this movie. But let's talk about some other positives. This movie is beyond being unbelievable by its concept that 100 people can fight 2,500. This movie is actually really funny. There's a lot of good humor along the way. There's a lot of good conversation. There's the people relate to each other well. It's in English the whole time, so that helps things, I guess. Um, Certain people might be a little hard to understand with their New Zealand accent or Australian accent, but they're young men, and they're all pretty eager to play their role and play it correctly and vigorously be a soldier, all that stuff. So excuse me. And so I favored everybody in this movie. I think it was all really well done. I think everybody played their part well. I think a lot of people that had to bounce off of each other really did that well. So I really am going to speak favorably about this movie. I think one of the bad things, if you want to call it a bad thing, probably is the fact that they tell us in the description, and it's very apparent in the movie, that they don't really know what they're doing as far as being soldiers and being commanders and being an army. And, it's very obvious that they only have limited numbers and limited experience, and it kind of becomes very apparent. It almost gets to the point of being annoying because they're just being so goofy or so like questioning each other and all this stuff. And it just seems like they're off on holiday sometimes, and it just does not seem like they're in a war, in a battle, in the army. Just doesn't even feel like that sometimes because it gets so goofy and it gets so funny. And so sometimes it gets a little overboard on the comedy and all that stuff, and then it starts focusing on the battle. And even then they try and throw in some more lighthearted scenes. That's why I say it's really funny, because throughout the movie, even when people are dying, it's funny. So that could be a problem for some people, and I think it's probably the only problem for me, but that's why it affected the grade I'm going to give here in a minute. But that's like its worst problem, is being apparent that these guys have no idea what they're really doing. They're not that well trained, they're not that well formed. They're basically doing the same thing the Vietnamese are doing. So that's where I'm going to go with my next point here is just it blows my mind to for what it takes to make a movie like this. For all those men that played the Vietnamese characters, props to you because it's amazing when movies like this are made and the guys that sign up to be the evil Vietnamese, I mean, it was a huge battle. It's a good concept for a movie, but for you to want to, for how many there were, I don't know how many men they actually used for this because they could have used different guys, and they're all wearing helmets, and I don't know how many actual Vietnamese they used to make this movie, but wow, it just seems like they keep coming and they die one after another. It's repetitive and it's really entertaining for us as a viewer, but for what it took to make a movie like this is just amazing. So that being said, um, I think I can give this movie a B and be happy with it. I don't think it's anything I would want to own, but I wouldn't mind watching it again sometime if it comes up. If it gets shoved to Netflix and I happen to watch it in the future, I'll be like, oh yeah, I liked this movie that one time. So I would totally suggest this if you can get a hold of it. I kind of watch movies on different platforms that other people don't have at the moment, but this is a movie to seek out. It is an amazing movie, and we had 1917, we had Midway last year. I think movies like this don't get as much attention, but they're just as well made and they're just as interesting. And when it comes up at the end, how many people came from this battle and, what happened out as the outcome of this battle, it's just something to kind of expose yourself to. Read a history book, read something online, try and seek out this movie to watch to keep yourself educated about things. So yeah, I'm gonna give a B to Dangerous Close. Try and give it a shot. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and give some of them a watch. Like, subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies. Thanks.